All right, y'all. It's Women's Wednesday, and I've sort of got a different kind of message. This is not quite to women. This is going to be, well, it's going to be to sort of MGTOW types. I've been watching some MGTOW videos recently and reading lots of comments. And you know, we came out with a few MGTOW videos early on in this channel, and the Revolting Man channel is very sympathetic to their cause. And you know, the Revolting Man himself, I would say he's a MGTOW. I mean, he went his own way, even though it wasn't the choice that these guys would make, and they, you know, say he's some big, you know, whatever their word is for the guys who still marry and all that. But anyways, men going their own way, foregoing marriage because the system is rigged. You know, the women are only gold diggers and they're going to ruin men's lives and everything else. So the main thing I wanted to get at today is that, you know, they think that there's no good women out there, and that if there is one by chance, she's a unicorn, and there's no chance of finding her, so why bother? And I want to just say that yes, I agree that's true. There's probably very, very few unicorns out there, and they're probably like raised Amish or something like that. So separate from our feminist culture that, you know, they don't know any better, or not that they don't know any better, they don't know any different. And sorry, I'll try to avoid the Freudian slips as much as possible. I already know I'm going to get a lot of flack from this video because anytime MGTOW is tagged, they're like, "Rawr!" So, yes, unicorns don't exist, but good women can be made. They can be formed. They can be molded. They can be trained. And I am an example of this, and this is the only thing. I speak for myself in my own experience, and that's all I have to offer anybody is my own experience. But you know, I was not a good wife to begin with at all. I mean, there was so many times that there are just so many times where I did the most atrocious things to my husband. You know, and I tried as many ways that I could possibly think of to manipulate him and to get him to do what I wanted him to do, and, you know, kicking and screaming and oh my gosh, the list goes on, and I am ashamed of some things that are on that list, ashamed, and I am so grateful that he is a forgiving man and that he's still with me. But the point I want to make is that you can train your women. You can train your women just like anybody can be trained. Anybody can learn new ways. And, you know, I think that you probably can get really big and philosophical about it all. You can talk about, I don't know, the different psychological ways and the, you know, rewards versus the punishments and you know, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, all kinds of stuff. But women can be trained. And I'm not sure about most women, but, you know, I tell you one thing. I was a very, very, very willful child, young adult, and woman. And no, I don't know if he knew what he probably did. He probably knew exactly what he was doing when he was doing it, but he had to train me. And, you know, it was never this like, you know, we're going to do your training now. I mean, it was through real life experiences, through him never giving me what I wanted ever. You know, there was never a time when, if he thought that I was being rebellious or defiant, there was never, ever, ever a time where he, you know, back down, ever. I mean, there was never a time when if he thought I was fighting him, there was no way that I was going to win, ever. And it took me years to figure this out, and once you truly get your will broken, because that's what it is. That's what becoming submissive is you're no longer living for yourself and your own selfish desires and needs. You're living for somebody else and the bigger picture, and there is so much fulfillment in that. It's unbelievable how much meaning that brings into your life when you're no longer living for yourself and you can deny your own hurt feelings and your own, this person isn't treating me the way I think they should, and all that stuff you can let go of, and you can be filled with a peace. This comes from laying out your rules, your expectations clearly, and saying, this is my standard and you're going to abide by it. The same way we train children, the same way, anybody is trained, the same way you're trained for a job, the same way you're trained for, any military. There is so many examples of this in the real world about training and leadership and authority. This is the same way we need to look at marriage, and the same way that men, I believe, should train their wives, their women. If you're going to let her get away with her childish fits, that's how she's going to act, and that's how she's going to continue to act. If nobody's ever going to say, hey, this is not acceptable to me, this is not going to be a part of our marriage and our family, then she's going to keep on doing it, and you're going to have a crazy woman. You're going to have all the problems that these men have had. So yeah, you've got to train. You've got to set down clear expectations. You've got to look at it. You've got to look at it like child rearing. There is so much benefit to taking a child from some. Okay, for instance, my dad works at a private school for kids with behavioral problems that have been, kicked out of regular school. So they're sent to this. It's like they have to live their first year like completely shut off from. It's like a wilderness school. So they live without running water, and they live on very plain food, and so anyways, no media, no devices, no connection to the outside world, etc. So when you take behavioral problem kids and put them in a rigorous, structured setting, suddenly you have very well-behaved kids. And the same thing applies to grown-ups. I'm sure you can do the same thing with pretty much anybody, and the same thing we can do with women. And I'm pretty sure that it's, I want to say most all women. I'm sure there are some that, they're always they're going to rebel, and they're going to be bad no matter what. But I would say that, the majority of women are going to fall in line. They're going to fall in line with a leader who's going to take control, who's going to take the reins. And you know what? Some women even are just waiting for that. These MGTOW guys, they say that women don't like the nice guys. They've tried to play the nice guy role, and that's just, they stay at that friend level. Well, duh. Women don't want what comes across as weak men. They don't want somebody that they're going to be able to walk all over and control, and how can you respect somebody like that? A long time ago, the revolting man said to me, you know what, I have to be this way. I have to be this hard because you would never respect me if I didn't. And that was so true. You're not going to get respect if you're trying to play that whole, giving her everything she wants. Look at what it does to children. Look at what happens when you give a child everything they want. This is simple ethics here. This is simple, ethics 101 is, the temporary, hard, bad, painful. I use vaccinations a lot when I'm, you got to go through that initial pain of that vaccination for the long-term good for the end result. So, this, you got to be hard. You've got to set that firm steady, stable foundation and lead with that firm hand. And otherwise, you know what? They're going to run all over you. And I feel like if men were to know these things and if they were to implement them early on, I think that they would probably have all kinds of women. You know, I want to say that, you know, the field of dreams, you know, if you build it, they will come, would apply here. It certainly seems to work in our situation, but, you know, I hope this message comes across. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to get all kinds of hateful stuff, but you know what? It's okay. It's something that I feel I wanted to get out there, and I felt that way since pretty much day one when we first put our first MGTOW videos out, and recently it's just come up more, and so just a word of hope and encouragement. They can be trained. Women can be trained, and you might find that suddenly a regular girl is suddenly a unicorn. But okay, thanks for watching. See y'all later.